get any oil, fortunately, but there's BP didn't think so, and I'll tell you because BP has agreed to an incredible settlement process whereby causation, and you know that in any claim normally you've got to show liability, causation, and damages, right? All three elements must be established. Well, in this particular settlement agreement, we might as well talk about it since we're talking about it. In this particular settlement agreement, causation has been, they have stipulated to liability and they have stipulated to causation if you can show that you suffered a financial downturn during an 8-month period in 2010 as compared to 2007, 2008, 2009, and you can pick any 3 months and you get to pick. And if you can show a loss, Gino, whether you're a golf course, whether you're a doctor's office, whether you're a realtor, whether you're a fishing guide, whatever the case may be, restaurant, not-for-profit, we are going to be representing some nonprofits in this. If you can show a loss, it is presumed now to have been caused by the BP oil spill. Causation is a given. Now think about that for a minute. It's never, I'm not aware of a similar stipulation in the history of American jurisprudence, to be perfectly frank. There is an absolute presumption that if you suffer this economic loss, if your accountant and if your tax records, your profits and loss statements, whatever the case may be, demonstrate this loss, and you fall within a specified zone. We're in Zone C here in Southwest Florida for the most part. You fall within these parameters financially. And you have this paper loss, even though realistically it may have been created by the downturn in the economy, okay, or the recession. It is presumed and assumed to have been created by the oil spill, and therefore you get that basic economic loss. In addition to that, if your business did not grow to the extent that it should have grown, or even if it grew, let's say 2%, but it should have grown, you can make an argument it should have grown 10% during the applicable time period. You get added on to your basic economic loss is the loss of growth up to 12%. Gets added on to the basic economic loss for the 3-month period that you pick. And then here's the real kicker. And this is why the situation in the Northern Gulf was contrary to what we talked about earlier in your discussion here, is probably much worse than we really have been led to believe. Because BP, especially the dispersants apparently that have been put on this thing, are having very, very adverse environmental consequences. BP has agreed to buy its way, Gino, out of potential punitive damages for this spill. And so you add up your economic losses, you add up your, you add to that your loss of growth, and depending upon where you are, and what zone you're in, and what you do, you get a multiplier. The best example is a fishing guide, which Chris was, as you know, before he went back to law school. Your damages get multiplied by, here in this area, by the number 4. Now think about that. So if your economic loss is $60,000, it gets multiplied by 4, and they will cut you a check for that amount. If you're a doctor's office, it potentially gets multiplied by 1.25, so that you basically receive double your actual economic losses. It depends upon the nature of your business as to what the multiplier is. Before, in my judgment, it was questionable whether you needed attorneys when you were receiving the initial monies that were offered by BP. Now you do, because records may need to be subpoenaed, and you're going to need a certified public accountant. So what we've done in our firm is put together a team to handle these claims, to tell our clients, here are the financial records that we need to get to the CPA, to put your potential loss together, and then we submit them to BP. It's an incredible, I've never seen any settlement agreement drafted like this before. I suspect we probably never will again, but BP is so concerned about its liability here. Now, obviously, if you're up in Pensacola and Mississippi and Louisiana, that's Zone A. It's a slam. It's a given up. Well, the multipliers, the burden of proof on the damages is a little less, actually, Jeff. But here, if you're on 41 or if you're west of 41, you're in Zone C. If you're off of 41, east of 41 by more than a street, by the access street, you're in Zone D, and you've got to prove the damage calculation is a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible. It's just you've got to show a greater loss. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting, and I think many people and organizations that didn't realize that weren't a marina, weren't a fishing guide, didn't realize they may have a claim, in fact do.
Tommy.
Surprise trade. Michael Barr.